think Friday night, the atmosphere, the environment was something I hadn't a couple years ago against UCF, but I thought that was the best I've seen since I've been here. Obviously the students, but I think the whole community and everything. Because on a Friday night, I always worry. High school football is so big around here, and it's kind of the night for high school football. And for us to have the environment, the atmosphere that we had on Friday night, it was really amazing. And obviously that's a lot to our students as well. But I think just in general, that was something that when they started bringing up those ideas a few years ago, it wasn't something I was really interested in. Not that we have a choice, but I just think that Friday nights were meant for high school football, and I think you lose a lot. But we definitely didn't lose a lot there. It was the first game we played 4 quarters, and I think that's what I was probably most impressed with our team. And I'm talking about from quarter 1 to quarter 4. A lot of other guys got an opportunity to play in the ball game. They went in with the same expectation, with the same effort and attitude, and I thought they played well. And nothing's perfect, and that was a tough team to do that with, especially defensively, with a lot of the different things that they did. So those younger guys got a chance to go in the game and playing against a lot of things that they don't normally see. So I thought it was great, but I think now, most importantly, we got to be able to move on. And I think for us as a team and as a program, it's really about how are we going to handle this attention and the things that are going on. We can't bury our head in the sand. They can't be like me, because they're not, meaning they don't have to go out and they don't have to be around, and they still got to go to class and be in the community and live on their phones at times. So we've been good about handling just the attention and some of the buzz, and it'll be a big deal for us to continue to handle some of the attention, some of the buzz, that we don't change the way we've done things. And I mean that not just how we play, but most importantly how we prepare. And so the maturity of this team is going to have to continue to grow. They've done a really, really good job so far, but we're only 5 games in. So with that being said, we moving on to UCF and knowing that since I've been in the league, this is year 5, they've been the most talented team. I'm not saying by far, but the most talented team, year in and year out in this league. And I think they're a very talented football team. They still have a lot of skill. I think they're really strongest up front, on both sides of the line with some veteran guys on the D line and the O line. A new coach, obviously, with Coach Malzahn being his first year, he's been through it, and he's it's not his first rodeo, so he's done this for a long time. And I think that as a new group, they're similar in a lot of ways, but offensively, I think they've had to adapt and adjust, obviously with the new quarterback a little bit. But I don't think they've changed who they are, and I think defensively, in my mind, that they're a much more sound team than they were the last couple years, and with the players that they got, it makes them really difficult. Open up for questions.
It might not be quite the matchup everyone envisioned coming in because of with UCF. Because
who envisioned? You?
Yes, me.
Okay.
We'll go with me.
Because it's a matchup that I envisioned, but that's
right.
okay.
So correct my expectations. How do you do that internally? They're not a ranked team coming in, but they have an injured quarterback. How do you make sure that they don't lose focus with some of the changes?
I think the biggest deal is to press play and believe what it is that you see. And maybe it hasn't been as explosive the last couple of weeks as maybe they were a couple of years ago, but nonetheless, they still have that talent, and they still have the big play capability. I think they're better defensively than they have been, and Sound was still really good football players. Maybe defensively they lost some backhand guys that got drafted, were really good football players, but I do believe that they're better in that category. But I think the whole picture is what they got to really look at. You can't forget those guys that were here, 5 years ago, and what that looked like on that night, and how far we had to come. So I think more than anything, it's the respect, respect for who these guys are and what they've done in the past 4 years, and it's about the way you prepare.
Do you feel like this game has grown into a bit of a rivalry? I mean, it wasn't a natural rivalry, but you guys are on the top of the conference now.
Well, when you're the top team in the conference, meaning UCF, in 5 years they've been the top team in the conference, for sure for those years. Maybe because we won it last year, that there's maybe a little bit difference what people think out there, but overall in my time here, they've been the best team in the conference, and so we've made it a rivalry, I guess you'd say, because they were the best, and in order to be the best, you got to be able to beat the best. So we've kind of tried to look at it like that, and all that we've done. I don't know if they would look at it, but I do think that just based on who has won the league in the past few years, them, us, and Memphis are by nature, just because of the opportunity to win the championships are, in some ways you'd say, I don't know if they're rivals because it's a unique with the distance and things like that. Usually rivals compete against each other even in recruiting in different ways, but I would definitely say there's been something created.
The 3-3-5 defending UCF was a big part of you guys, implementing that. Are they different under Malzahn offensively, or is it a little similar?
Well, that's the hard thing is I think in the evolution of what they're doing, even more offensively, it's hard to figure out. There's very similar to what they were doing in the past, but yet there are some differences. In year one, you just wonder how much he has, really kind of, gone into all the things that he did at Auburn. Because as you look back at Auburn, you would say it's a little bit different, but there's a reason he's a great football coach. There's a reason he's been successful everywhere he's been, is because he doesn't just go in and say, this is what we're going to do. You go in there and you realize what it is that you have and what was really good from, what someone did before there. So they're similar in a lot of ways, but you do start to see as they're getting into, midway through the season is where they've, are adapting, adjusting. But, it makes it even more difficult sometimes when they're switching, quarterback, because, what does he really believe that he can do with a younger kid that he maybe did differently in the first 4 weeks. So like a lot of the past few weeks for us defensively, you're trying to figure some of that stuff out, and you really don't know until the game begins.
Luke, when did you find out you were number 3 in the country, the highest ranked team that's ever been here at UC?
I don't know if anybody told me. Maybe I popped on my phone on Monday and saw the stuff we put out or something, and I quickly shut it off. But I don't know. I'd be honest with you, I wouldn't. Maybe even one of my kids said something. I don't know. That I probably snarled at them a little bit when they said it. But I don't put a ton of stock in it. I know we use it in the recruiting side of things, but I don't. Like I said, I'm not watching. I'm not waiting. I'm waiting. Idea. But I do want to make sure that's a part of the program that we gotta be aware of, because it does affect in some ways our kids. Hopefully it doesn't affect them in any negative way, but there should be some good buzz to them about what it is that they're doing. But you just can't lose sight on what you need to do to continue to move forward. So there's a balance there that I'd like to avoid, but I can't.
Are you happy for the team to get?
Yeah, no, I think the recognition that they deserve and they're getting is awesome. It's something that we've had a little bit in the past couple of years. I think that, but nothing quite like this. So it's a time for us to continue to grow maturity-wise and be able to handle it. And I don't just mean that as the players, as the coaches as well. I got to mature enough to, not bury my head and realize that it's out there. It's a really, really good thing for us in the program. Now, how do we use it inside this room to continue to motivate us?
You've been around a lot of good teams. Does this feel like one of the best teams in the country?
It does. And I think that because you can play on all 3 phases of the game. It's not like, we say, okay, we got to go out there and we got to outscore them, or we got to go out there and we got to hold them to 6, 7 points. And I think that, that there's a confidence level in all that we're doing that, you can find many different ways to still be successful in what you're doing, but you still got to be able to grow. And when you've got a balanced football team, I think those are when you got a really good opportunity to continue to grow. And as we continue to feed off each other, that's why I said last week was so important for us. Is we all played pretty well on all 3 phases of the game and played consistent. And I think if you're going to go from really good to great, it's not in talent. It's not just in the little things that you do. It's in the consistency. That's the biggest part of it.
Through 5 games, statistically, the defensive numbers are right there, if not above what they've been in past seasons. How do you feel like now that you've gotten into a little bit of the season, Coach Tressel's adjusted to his role?
Really good job. I mean, he's had to adjust a little bit to the things that we do, but I think the biggest thing as a new guy in particular, Coach Tress walking in here, he had to adjust to a lot of the different, I don't say schemes that we do, but even the personalities. And it's a tough job, because you're walking in, taking over for someone that was really respected and did a great job. And I don't mean that in what you're playing defensively, but just the connection with the guys. And as much as he's had to do and learn defensively, I think he's even had to do more understanding the makeup of a lot of these young men. And to me, that's more important than what exactly we're doing defensively, what we're calling defensively. But it's how does everybody kind of work together. And I think that's the unique thing about us, and more so even the defense is, with a new guy, is there's a lot of different personalities that have been here a long time, and trying to, not say manage, but deal with all that. It's humbling, and I think he's done a phenomenal job with it.
Coach, speaking of your defense, what's that been impact as Darian Beavers had for you? How versatile has he been?
He's done a really good job. I mean, he's grown a lot. He started off kind of as the dollar hybrid type for us, moved last year into the will linebacker spot. He's got a real future in football. And but it was I think the whole year it was going to say, hey, how much more comfortable can you be being a true linebacker, playing off the ball, doing the things we're asking you to do. We move him around a lot. We ask him to do a lot of different things. But he's continuing to grow. And sometimes you get that guy that's in his 5th year and they think, well, this is who I am, this is what I do. And the great thing about Darren is he's kind of accepted all the different things we're asking him to do, realizing that if he can continue to grow in what he's doing, he's got a real future in the game of football. So he's been, I'm not saying a pleasant surprise for us, because we always knew, even especially after last year, but I think he's done a really good job with all the things we've asked him to do.
A phrase that you've used a lot is Desmond Ritter factor. Can you define, like if you looked up Desmond Ritter factor, what would be the definition?
No, I couldn't define it. I think that a confident leader, it goes a long way. And I think that's probably as much as anything. What he has shown us is he is at his best in the toughest times. Whether that's, when his sophomore year, when, his shoulder was dinged up and he, wasn't throwing the ball great, and, we were having to manufacture everything, he just found a way. Going into his junior year where, the first few games he, had a bunch of picks and some, I guess, some unfortunate situations and maybe some bad balls. But he continued to grow, and he found a way as he grew through that, and obviously played great at the end of the last half of the year. And so I think that's the biggest thing. It's about, confident leadership that really kind of permeates throughout the program. And I think that's the factor, whether it's Dez, whether it's Majay, whether it's Darian Beavers, whether it's Ahmad Gar, Kobe Bryant, those confident leaders that make other people better. That's a factor in itself.
How proud of you are of your leaders playing on a short week against Temple after the biggest game, arguably the biggest game in Notre Dame?
No, they did a really good job. I kind of look at it now that it's over and said maybe the short week helped us in some of the ways to kind of get focused and lock back in and move forward. But it's still about the maturity of what those guys are. We're not shy away from, I tell them before every game that we go as our seniors go. And we go as the leadership on this team goes, not the coaches. We go as those guys go in that locker room. And, that's what I'm happy to say, that they've done a really good job being mature, handling some of the buzz and the things that are around us, but not allowing it to change us. Now, it's only week 5 and we got a long way to go. But that's why you feel good about, okay, I'm not going to bury my head in the sand. I'm not going to be naive to not think that this is an awesome thing for all of us involved. But those guys, we're going to count on a lot, not just to play on Saturdays, but to kind of really be the example of what humble and hungry really looks like.
On the flip side, you get an extra day prepared for UCF. Is that something that you're happy about, or is it kind of like indifferent right now?
I don't know if I'd say extra day. It's just how you use your time. I think that we were able to give those guys a day off, which you always have a day off throughout the week. Your day off was normally a Monday for us. Last week it was a Saturday, and got right back into our schedule. So, a lot of those things are just how you handle them. And, that's what we got to continue to do, because there's not going to be a normal schedule as we move. We haven't had a normal schedule all last year, obviously, because it was a unique year. And then this year, you've had different games. We've had bye weeks. We've had Friday. So there is no normal, I'd say, right now in college football, and that's all right. Maybe that's going to be to our advantage to, kind of keep those guys a lot more on their toes.
Jerome Ford was the AAC Offensive Player of the Week. You joked Friday night again. That just means we got to get him the ball more. We're not getting it to him enough. Are you consciously trying to get him more involved, or just still whatever kind of looks you're getting from the defense?
Yeah, I am, but I'm not on the offense that often, so
Your staff.
so they don't always listen to me. No, I think that's what those guys have done a great job of, and that's what Des has done a great job of, is being able to handle the balance to that. I don't know that we're going to be like we were 3 years ago, where it was Mike Warren and he's going to get the ball 34 times. If we have to, I don't think that Jerome could do that. But I think that just where we've grown as an offense, I think we're still better when we have a chance to move the ball around and not be as much one-dimensional as maybe we had to be in the past. So, but there is a balance, and he has done a great job, and we're always trying to find more ways to get him involved, and maybe even get him involved earlier. But we're also finding other ways to get Trey Tucker and some of those guys involved as well. So, like anything, there's a balance to all that you got to do if you want to do it well.
You talked about your confidence in Cole. He has some really young guys behind him. Do you anticipate any opportunities for anybody behind him to get chances?
Yeah, there are. I mean, I don't know if they're going to arise. I mean, again, it's a competition that you always are trying to continue to push guys on, and sometimes the competition makes you feel better about what it is you're doing. So, we'll continue to give those guys opportunities, put them in some competition during the week, and just try to build his confidence back up. That's one of those things that there's just little things here and there. I can't tell you what it is because I don't know. Guys that can press pause and point it out. I mean, any of us can do that. But the reality is just making sure we continue to move forward. It's still early. And I think that's where people can't panic and get frustrated. It's still early in the season, and it's game 6, and now we're getting into that true middle stretch where the adjustments then we got to be able to be made, and he'll make them, and I think we can help him by putting in some competition, that'll build him a little bit more confidence in what he's doing.
After the Notre Dame game, we talked to Malik about just how special it was to kind of be on this ride with the program. He's from here, to get it to New Heights top 5. We look back, guys like him, Josh Wiley, how big were those guys committing to here and really believing in your vision to where you guys are at now?
It's what it takes. I mean, you when you first are starting, it's a little bit easier to sell, because you're selling a dream, and then after year 1, the dream is a little bit more of a reality, and it wasn't pretty. And for those guys to believe in us and what we were doing, and in this place in particular, I think that's as big a deal as anything. I'm not saying it was me. I'm not saying it was anything other than, hey, the place has got an opportunity to be special, and we knew we wanted to start, in that 50-mile radius and at home, and if we could do that, we would give us a greater opportunity to grow, and I thought grow faster. And those guys jumped in, and those guys didn't bat an eye, and that's why I'm happiest. Not if I'm more happy for them than I am for Desmond Ridder, who's only from an hour and a half away. But I think that for what those guys did, taking that leap of faith, what I like to say in year 1 and 2 is have that blind faith, not just in me, in the program, and in the university as a whole. I think it's really rewarding.
Any more questions for Coach? Thank you.
Good.